Well, it's kind of interesting. There's opportunity for making mistakes here. You can go to the cinema. I want to go and see because you Cruella. I want to go and see that film with. I want to go and see the film with Joel Fry, and you mean Cruella, and you end up in the Heights. I want to see that the Lin-Manuel Miranda thing in the Heights. You end up with in the Earth. So anyway, don't get them wrong. So. In the Heights is the Lin-Manuel Miranda film. In the Earth is the Ben Wheatley film. They could not be more different. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the show, it was something like 4 Tony Awards and including Best Musical, and the story is that where he was having a holiday from it, and when he was on holiday from it, he chanced upon a biography of one of the founding fathers, and that then led to Hamilton, which he describes as a tale of America then as told by America now. Hamilton then became the biggest sensation ever. There has been a lot of talk about Hamilton becoming a film, but I read an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda who said, well, not for a long time, because firstly, I want to let the stage play stand for itself. And secondly, because if I'd meant it to be a film, I would have written a film. It's a different thing. Although, of course, there is the Disney production, which you can see, which is a film of the Broadway production. So, this is the film of In the Heights, which was the kind of hit musical before Hamilton. 2.5 hours of very good-hearted exuberance, focusing on Latino American communities in Washington Heights. So Anthony Ramos is Usnavi, whose name comes from the fact that his parents saw US Navy written on the side of a boat when they came in. So he's Usnavi. He's in a bodega. He works in a store, but he has dreams of going to his parents' home of the Dominican Republic. He's in love with Vanessa, who's played by Melissa Barrera, who's also planning on leaving the local neighborhood. She has dreams of becoming a fashion designer. And then there's Nina, who has been at Stanford, but now wants to return home to the neighborhood home, to the disappointment of her father, who's played by Jimmy Smith. So, I mean, it's a solidly good cast. And then this whole thing is playing out in a kind of sort of sweltering heat. So, you think of things like Do the Right Thing, perhaps. And there's a power cut coming, and we know this because there's a countdown to the power cut. And there is talk about a winning lottery ticket, all of which serves to kind of up the ante. And inevitably, at one point, the production ends up in a swimming pool. Here's a clip.
We gotta go, I wanna show you all I know. The sun is setting and the light is getting low. But way to take a shot when the day is hot. I got a perfect shady spot a little ways away that ought to cool us down. Welcome back to town.
Hey, now back in high school when it's dark and you can't add a day.
And Usnavi would bring his radio.
Home from senior studies, I see you rapping with your buddies.
With the volume high, you walked on by.
I mean, you get from that a sense of the tone of the film. Now, the interesting thing is that, of course, it's dealing with difficult subject matter. I mean, it's dealing with, immigration and politics and local tensions and international tensions, and it's dealing with, racism and on all that on the one hand. It's also dealing with love and, coming of age and families and celebration of the local community, longing for a different community, but also celebrating this. So all these things are going on. So it's a film in which you feel like there is an absolute bucket load of stuff, and it's all done in this very exuberant way. Even the sort of the darker stuff is done with a sense of exuberance. I mean, it feels very show tuney. It feels very like it's it's on the on the balls of its feet. It's a film that is reaching up, and at one point they have this kind of fantasy sequence in which they're dancing along the side of a building, and the building sort of seems to turn sideways so that they defy gravity. And obviously, there are comparisons with things like West Side Story. Actually, weirdly enough, comparison with Rooftops as well, I suppose. But, all those things are in the mix, and it's 2 hours, 20 minutes long, and nobody is going to come out of it feeling that they were shortchanged. There has been a sort of weird thing recently that I know some people have said, well, I didn't find it quite as romping as perhaps it should be. And I thought, you must have watched a different film. Again, partly it's, I think, because just seeing a film in which so much stuff takes place outdoors, and there are dance numbers, and it's colourful and vibrant, and yes, all those other things going on to do with the serious themes and the political themes and the themes about identity. And I don't know whether you saw the thing recently that there was a complaint about an underrepresentation of Afro-Latino characters, and Lin-Manuel Miranda immediately took to Twitter and said, yes, that's a perfectly valid criticism, and I'm sorry that we weren't better on that front. You just think, you really are the nicest person in the world, aren't you? You are. Anyway, so I really enjoyed it. I mean, I found it like celebratory. That doesn't mean there isn't dark stuff in it. There is, but I found it like it was what I wanted. It was a great big everything and the kitchen sink romp.